Hi, my name is Matthew Nichols. I'm the Director of Percussion Studies here at Florida Atlantic University. And I want to give you a couple of tips and tricks that made me a little bit more comfortable with this etude, and hopefully it'll help you as you're preparing for your All State audition. So the first recommendation is to use the bottom two drums of your school's timpani set. Usually we have four where the drums are kind of laid out where the lowest one should be 32 inches in diameter as far as the bowl size. And then they go up by 3 inches to 29, 26, and 23. Utilizing the bottom two gets you a clearer sound because the G and the C are going to be towards the top, the middle top of the range of these drums. And then when you have to do the glissando in measure 8, it's going to give you more flexibility on the low end as well. If you could play this piece on the middle two drums if they allow the head to go low enough, but you're also going to run into it being on the lower end of the tuning for those middle two drums. It's not going to be as clear of a sound. So definitely try to utilize your biggest drums. The two biggest drums that you can. Now, making sure also that when you play soft, you have a mallet that's articulate enough to bring out some of these faster rhythms. And clearly, because we do have to make the difference between quintuplets or groups of 5 notes and sextuplets, groups of 6 notes. So we don't want that to be washy in any way. Now this mallet I'm using is a Vic Firth Tim Jennis Beethoven hard that I've taken the core, which is a hard felt, and the German felt wrapping around it, and I've taken it off the wooden handle and put it on bamboo. The mallet works just the same, it's just more comfortable for my preference of playing on bamboo. But you definitely want something with a little more articulation. From that same line of mallets, I would just as quickly recommend the hard tonal or the tonal mallets. However, we want to play around with them depending on how old your mallets are. They may be a little bit more worn out. We definitely don't want to go so articulate as the ultra staccatos or any sort of hard felt that has no wrapping on it, because that's going to get a really brittle sound. It's going to be a little too articulate, I think, to really sweeten up some of these rolls that we have to play, as well as any of the longer tones that we get to produce. As far as the changes in pitches, we do have to utilize both the top and the bottom drum changing pitches. So I actually start by playing seated, so that I play seated first so that I can have a proper playing height. I'm a little bit taller than these drums, so when I stand up and play, would have to overextend my arms and it wouldn't be a proper playing zone. So we utilize a timpani stool or any sort of wooden stool that's between 32 and 36 inches tall. This timpani stool can adjust height pretty sensitively. But I am going to play seated so it's a proper height. And then I'm going to keep my feet on the pedals, and as soon as I need to change, I will utilize whichever foot that needs to change. Now my rule with timpani tuning is it's okay to be out of tune for 1 note. And that means that you go to change the pedal when it's quiet. We're not sure if we got it right because maybe the gauges are wrong or maybe there are no gauges. But that next note, you're going to find out if you were right or wrong, and you have to immediately change it. So because the change is from a C to a B flat on the top drum and a G to an F on the bottom drum, we're not really needing to lower the pedal to the extreme. It's just a slight drop that we could probably memorize or get pretty close in our practice as far as memorizing that drop from one note to the next. But we also want to make sure that we're confident in how the new note sounds. So I practice this transition from G to C to G to B flat on a marimba or a piano, or even do it with a friend who plays a wind instrument. And then practice the way it sounds when you go from G to B flat to F and B flat. And knowing that interval relationship and having your ear ready to tell you if it's right or wrong. So we want to make sure we're not only using our ears, we're using our feet, but then we're also adjusting quickly in the moment. Like I said, you can be right, in my mind, you can be right, or you can be wrong once. And the moment you realize you're out of tune, you need to get in tune. Don't just let it be out of tune for the entire etude. Now, when we get to the end and we actually get to play forte, there are some accents that are going to creep in. want to be careful that we're utilizing that change in sound, volume-wise, but also maybe change the color of how it sounds by maybe using a sharper or a faster stroke to give you a little bit of a brighter sound. It's hard to get the accents to pop out when we're already playing forte. So just bring a little bit more to it, practice however you can. Which brings me to my next point, which is not many of us keep timpani in our houses. So practicing timpani, you're kind of at the mercy of your band director, your school, and maybe other percussionists who are trying to use the instruments. You can do a lot of preparation before you even enter the band room and play the timpani. First thing I recommend is practicing these rhythms on a single surface like a snare drum or a practice pad, and get used to playing hand to hand and making everything sound nice and even, all the rhythms and the stickings you want. Then adjust to playing on two surfaces, getting used to bouncing between the two surfaces. I use pillows on a bed. You can have two drums that are spaced far enough apart that your playing zones are proper. But you can do all of that in preparation of actually playing on timpani. A lot of people choose to wait until the very end to learn the timpani etude because they don't have access to the instruments. But I want to challenge you to be creative in your practice, to find the right solution to achieve a wonderful sounding timpani solo without actually having timpani at home. Now that's all I have for today. If you have any questions about anything that was said or anything that I played, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Also, if you ever have any questions about your timpani or any practice solutions, please reach out. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. And if you don't have any questions or anything like that, then I wish you all the best as you continue to prepare for your All State audition.